The ADHD community has a scam problem. Now, before I really get into the topic of today's video, I do just want to put like a disclaimer, a caveat, if we will, that I am often very uncomfortable talking about my opinion on social media for reasons that I assume many of us can understand. Mostly that I am afraid of saying something wrong, offensive, that somebody will disagree with me. And if you have ADHD and experience rejection sensitivity dysphoria, you might also understand not necessarily wanting to put myself in a vulnerable position on the internet. However, I feel so strongly about today's topic that I've been thinking about it for weeks, and I really want to share this with you. This is also an entirely unscripted video, so I have some like loose notes, but really what I'd like to do is like take you through what I want to talk about in the way that I experienced it, okay? There's gonna be like two major parts of this video. In the first part, I'm going to talk about a scam that is going around, and it's especially targeted at people who may be content creators or influencers. And I want to talk about this firstly because there's a lot about it that does bother me, but also because I want you to be aware so that you're not being scammed by these people. Then second, I want to talk a little bit about social media, aggressive marketing, and what feels like an exploitation of a disability. And we will get there, but that is kind of like the two sections of the video. Let's talk about scams. So I recently watched a video by a really fantastic ADHD coach here on YouTube who goes by Antonia's Universe. If you are looking for really accessible information that is filmed and edited in a much more engaging manner than my videos are, that will help you understand your ADHD and to help you accommodate yourself, I highly recommend checking out her channel, and I will link her in the description below. But she recently posted a video about ADHD scams. While watching it, I heard something a little bit familiar. The ADHDers League. Now, when I heard this, a little light bulb popped up in my brain because I know you can't see it on the screen, but I have been contacted by the ADHDers League myself multiple times. I usually ignore things like this. I don't take a lot of paid sponsorships. Firstly, I don't get a lot of offers for paid sponsorships, but it's also just not something I feel particularly good about doing, especially because none of the people who have reached out to me have been products or services that I actually use myself, and I don't want to, market something that I haven't used, right? So at first, I ignored their email, especially because it said that they recently came across my TikTok profile. Now, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you might know that my TikTok profile is not really something that's super active. So first of all, I was like, that's a little bit weird. I don't do much on TikTok. I don't do much paid stuff on TikTok, so I'm not going to bother responding to this email. But the same day, 2 minutes later, I receive another email from the same person that says, "We recently came across your YouTube channel." And something that's particularly interesting to pay attention to is the fact that I got these emails in the month of October, which, as I recently became aware of, is ADHD Awareness Month. So I'm being contacted by people who, first of all, are talking to me about multiple platforms, one of which I don't use very much. They said that in celebration of ADHD Awareness Month, we're launching an innovative system called From Chaos to Clarity, the complete ADHD-focused mastery guide for adults. This isn't just another guide, it's a science-backed, comprehensive ebook designed to empower adults with ADHD to take control of their lives. Now, again, when I first read these emails, I immediately recognized that I'm like, this is not something I'm interested in. I usually don't do things for commission or for affiliate. I don't like to sell like services or guides about ADHD because there are so many like well-established books that already exist by researchers who deal with ADHD and have dealt with ADHD for decades. You can go to your local library to find these kinds of books that are going to be more reliable than most of what you might find on the internet. However, when I watched Antonia's Universe's video about this, she actually had the chance to talk to them face to face over Zoom, and this person was definitely like talking around questions and wasn't answering Antonia's questions in any like satisfactory way about the nature of the book. And let me tell you why. After seeing that, I decided that I would email ADHDers League back because I was curious. Curiosity may kill the cat, but hey, I have ADHD, and if something is interesting to me, I'm going to chase it down the rabbit hole. So I emailed them and said, hey, can you tell me more about this? And they said, yeah, our mission is to empower adults with ADHD by providing resources that support focus and productivity. And the system we launched last month is designed exactly to fulfill this mission. So I said, I'm curious about the system. How does the system work? Because to me, system implies that there is something a little bit more than just a book to read. It's something like courses, classes, one-on-one coaching, learning modules, like something that implies that there's multiple steps, multiple resources, multiple points of contact, right? Like the school system. School is a system that you go through in which you progress from grade 1 through 12, building on foundational information that you're learning each subsequent year. But when I asked them that question, they simply reiterated again that their system is a science-backed comprehensive ebook. So clearly this isn't actually some coaching service. It's not anything that's like certified by some, whatever kind of like certificate or registration or whatever it is that you might have to show that you have training and you're a legitimate coach and business person, right? It's simply an ebook. So they offered to send it to me to take a look, and so I did, and I just have to ask, what in the AI-generated hell is this? This image, like Antonia's universe says, is not a real image. This is not a real person. This is 100% AI generated, and you know that this is not like made by a digital artist. Because if it were made by a digital artist, there would be something in this book about the artist, right? There is no credit for an artist anywhere in this book. Another thing that you might notice, especially if you've ever downloaded like a free PDF guide to something, is that this does not look professional, in my personal opinion. It looks exactly like something somebody would have made on Canva after spending like $5 on a template from Creative Market. It is just a bunch of text on a page that does not give me any sense of like ADHD friendliness. There's nothing whatsoever about this that catches my attention. It's so much information all at once. It's just not actually built for people with ADHD. Then if I keep scrolling, not only are there more AI images, especially if we take a really close look at this one, where you can see that there is no actual text on the screens behind this person. This frame just kind of blends into the paper underneath it. What's going on with her teeth here? Her hair turns into her hair bands and vice versa. There's something sticking out of her shirt. This is all AI generated. Now listen, it's not that I'm necessarily saying that there's something wrong with AI generated images, even though I do personally have a problem with them because I think that they are the pinnacle of plagiarism and they are only going to devalue art. But what really bothers me about the use of AI art in this ebook is that, in my personal opinion, I think it's a huge sign of somebody who is taking shortcuts and trying to make something as fast as possible, to turn around as fast as possible, to make as much profit as possible. The next thing that really bothers me about this, if we scroll down, is, first of all, what the heck is this image? I mean, my brain doesn't look like that, and I hope that your brain also doesn't look like that. It might feel like that sometimes, but this image is particularly, like, disturbing to me. But what really bothers me about this book is that they do technically reference some science-backed research, especially here by Berkeley, who is a well-known researcher in the world of ADHD. However, as a researcher myself, I am so fussed about the way that they are citing their sources, because let me tell you what, they are not citing their sources. If you ever had to write a paper for high school, for college, if you're a researcher like I am, then you know that citing your sources is of the utmost importance. This is one, primarily to like avoid plagiarism, but also two, to pay dues and respect to the people who have done the work previous to you, and three, to show the people who are reading your work that you know how to do your due diligence about previous research and like what the field says. And four, allows those people reading your research to be able to go and find that research themselves if they want to see what the actual argument or what the like content of that piece of research was, not just the quote that you pulled to prove your point. So the fact that this does technically cite science-backed research, it does not do it in any proper format. First of all, here we only have the year in which whatever it is that they are referencing was published, but they don't have direct quotes, they don't have a page number, they don't offer a title, and if we scroll all the way to the bottom of the 72-page ebook, you'll note that there is no references page or bibliography. Now, if you've written any sort of research paper, you would know that any source that you cite must be referenced in a bibliography, works cited, or references page. This is where you give the full citation of the author, the title, the page number that you're referencing, the year, the place of publication, the publication company. Like, you give as much information as possible so that the people reading your work know who you are citing. And then they can go and themselves verify that this is legitimate research. So what this says to me is that they are being lazy, and it was probably AI generated, because this style of citation is something that I see from my students that I teach when they are using an AI generator to do their writing for them. Now, I don't think that you deserve to get AI generated crap to try and teach you about your ADHD. ADHD is a serious, lifelong condition that is going to impact you, or is impacting you, in so many ways, and AI generated content is just not helpful. It's poorly produced, it's often inaccurate, and the fact that somebody is trying to charge you money for this is an actual scam. Another key thing that I want to point out is if we go to the actual I can't even say their name, the actual ADHDers League website, because again, they say that this is a system, so you might think that this means that there is a platform of some kind, a community, one-on-one coaching, some kind of face-to-face, but the website is just a landing page for their ebook with template photos where they have uploaded this nonsense AI generated cover and slapped a bunch of like ADHD buzzwords on the screen. Now, the price isn't like terrible, it's $35.95. However, if you click on the link multiple times, it does add the ebook to your cart multiple times, and there is no way to remove those duplicate copies of the ebook. So if you click on that link 4 times like I have, you'll end up with a cart that costs you $143.80. Now, I don't know about you guys, but one of the things about having ADHD is having like a poor attention to detail. So if you're like me and clicked on the same link over and over again without paying attention to the total, you might be spending $143 to receive 4 copies of the same ebook with no ability to change your cart. That seems pretty scammy to me. So not only is this just like a bad product and somebody's trying to scam you out of your money, they are now going to influencers and promising us an 80% commission to make any sales off of this ebook by me marketing to you. They're asking me to participate in their scam and tell you that this is something that you should buy so that I can make money. And I am not okay with that. I think that it is predatory. I think not only trying to like scam you, the consumer, out of money, but I think that it's also trying to make influencers complicit in the scamming of people's money. And I think that that's just like icky. I don't know if you guys can sense it, but my strong sense of justice is definitely like present in this rant. The 2 things that really bother me about all of this, one of them, Antonia's universe, she said it better than I could, so I'm going to insert the clip in a second. But the gist of it is that somebody is providing us with bad solutions to get us to keep coming back and spending more money on more bad tools and more bad solutions from the same people. But again, she can say it better than I can, so listen to her clip here.
Now that a lot of us are diagnosed, a lot of us are more visible, they're like, there's this new customer base for all these different things. And we're especially vulnerable because we are ready to try anything and everything, but we need very specific ADHD-friendly solutions. So if you keep selling us non-ADHD-friendly solutions, we'll keep coming back for new ones to try them again and again and again. And so you can make money off of us multiple times.
And the thing that bothers me the most, the utmost about all of this, is that I hate the fact that somebody has identified people with ADHD as a market, like a group of people to make money off of. I'm not saying that like ADHD friendly tools like my visual timer and my tangle snakes, my fidget toys, I'm not saying that those things are bad, and yeah, sure, I may have found them through marketing, but when it comes to scams like this, they have found a group of people that they think they can exploit, especially because ADHD people are prone to impulse spending, are prone to overspending, are prone to missing the finer details. So they're taking advantage of what is legally classified as a disability here in the United States and trying to make money off of it. I understand that marketing is marketing, right? But there is something that just feels so gross to me about just marketing things generally speaking, and then identifying a group of people who have a disability and trying to take advantage of that disability. And this kind of leads me into the next section of the video that I want to talk about, which is the aggressive marketing and ads that come across my social media when it comes to ADHD. But I need to take a breather because this whole topic makes me really angry. I needed a change of scenery, but it is still cold, so blanket, and it also started raining outside, so if you can hear that, I do apologize. There's not much I can do about the weather. We soldier on as always. Before I truly get into the next part of the video, I do want to encourage you to just go watch the entirety of Antonia's video because I think, again, she addresses things in a way that I couldn't, and I hope that my perspective as a researcher and talking about the way that they're like selling it as a science-backed system provides you another perspective in which to consider the way that people are trying to scam you out of your money. Now, as for this part of the video, this is, I fear, where I may have an unpopular opinion that I am a little bit nervous to share, so I hope that you will hear me out, and if you choose to engage in the comments about this topic, please, I just ask that you be kind and willing to accept that other people perhaps have a different opinion and different experience than you. But basically, I have a really big distaste for the way that like ADHD products and coaching and apps are marketed on social media and particularly on Instagram. As I was just saying, ADHD is a disability and it's not something that I can opt out of. And again, I know that marketing is marketing, but take for example, I don't know why it comes to my mind, but like if Lululemon is trying to market to me leggings, I don't have to wear leggings if I don't want to, and I can kind of just ignore those ads. I know that they're maybe not necessarily for me, even though most ads are targeted, because it's something that I can choose to opt out of. That one is about like personal preference and taste. But when it comes to being advertised things about ADHD, which is again not something I can opt out of and is legally classified as a disability, it just feels like my time, attention, and money is trying to be capitalized on and perhaps exploited. I am so sure that like some of the apps I'm thinking of do actually help people and provide necessary education and the kind of coaching that people are looking for. But especially in the context of the United States, where healthcare is something that is largely inaccessible to people, it feels like trying to solve a problem with capitalism, aka running a business and having an app that you have to pay for, rather than trying to fix a problem with policy. Policy and healthcare and being able to access healthcare and health insurance and broadening the services under which one can, claim insurance benefits, in my opinion, would be a much better approach to trying to assist people with ADHD, rather than a capitalist system making a product to then market to a group of people who are disabled and therefore marginalized and making money in the process. Because capitalism is all about making a profit. It is about capitalizing the money that you have to turn it into more money. Do you see what I'm saying? I also feel very similarly when it comes to some of the like aggressive paid ads that I've seen some ADHD coaches making, especially on Instagram. And again, all of this is particularly taking place on Instagram. And I'm also fully aware of the fact that this is also like a problem in my own Instagram feed and a reflection of the things that I have engaged with. But the thing is, like, I do genuinely enjoy some ADHD content, and I like to support the content from the people that I like, especially the people who are like sharing tips for free or making relatable content. But this means that I then start to receive ads about coaching services, and when I am marketed that way from people who have ADHD to other ADHDers, on the one hand, I suppose a perspective to take is that it's great that we now have this like space where ADHDers get to help ADHDers because they're the people who are going to understand the most, right? But what I felt, and again, this is just my feelings, it's not facts, it's my opinion, and I also realize that it is a biased and flawed opinion. But what happened when I started seeing these things is that rather than feeling empowered and rather than feeling as though this was something I could access, especially because most of the time they're not financially accessible to somebody like me, I started internalizing a lot of the messages that I was seeing from those ads and getting caught a little bit in this cycle, this loop that I used to experience, that I still do experience, which I try really hard to not experience, which is essentially feeling like I'm not good enough. When I see ads from ADHD coaches or from somebody trying to sell me a course, it still feels like I am a problem to fix, and the only way I can do that is by spending money on some coaching service or course. And I try really, really hard to not feel like I am a problem to fix. I have been told my entire life that the way that I am is wrong and that it is something to be fixed. And it was only after getting my ADHD diagnosis and going to a lot of therapy did I start to just accept the way that I am. That doesn't mean that I don't struggle with the day-to-day things that would make somebody get diagnosed with ADHD, but I try really hard, and I keep saying that phrase over and over again, but I really do try to not internalize like a message of shame and guilt about having those struggles. And when I feel like somebody is trying to market to me about those struggles, it still feels like something to fix. Editing Katie here. I just wanted to pop in to say that I did take this topic to TikTok a little while ago, and something that a few people pointed out is that part of what I was saying sounded a little bit like internalized ableism, especially the part where I'm talking about feeling like a thing that needs to be fixed. Now, I think that there is some validity to that critique, and especially because I think we all probably struggle with a little bit of ableism, given the world that we live in and the fact that it is very like anti-disability, but I still want to, give space and acknowledge the fact that I was having those feelings, and I still do have those feelings. I was also, though, thankfully reminded that I do have some control over my algorithm, and even if I want to follow people who do have, paid ads, but don't want to see their paid ads, I can tell the Instagram algorithm that I don't want to see those things. I'll admit, I entirely forgot that that was an option, so I do appreciate that that conversation happened. So if you're experiencing the same thing, like, don't be afraid to curate your social media spaces. There is an option, the 3 little dots, the press and hold to bring up the menu to tell them, hey, I don't want to see this kind of content. But back to the internalized ableism thing, like I said, there's probably some validity to that, but it doesn't negate the fact that I was still feeling that way. And I said in the video that my feelings are not facts, but I do want to validate that sometimes we do feel that way, and social media can definitely make it worse. So if you have the same problem with social media, I would also remind you that you can also not look at social media. I do still think that there is often a problem with the messaging surrounding ADHD. It has definitely improved since I was a kid and, heard about ADHD being the hyperactive little boy who couldn't sit still or, wouldn't apply themselves. And it is a lot more empowering these days, but all this means, all my complaint means is that there's still room to grow. So yeah, okay, back to the video. I want to be clear that trying to learn new strategies, learn new coping skills, unlearn neurotypical ways of thinking, I don't remember what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought, especially because my neighbor keeps pacing back and forth on the sidewalk outside my house, and it's really distracting. I do think that it is really important to learn coping strategies and to unlearn neurotypical ways of thinking in order to address those daily struggles that you have. And if the way that you do that is through coaching, then that's great. I mean, maybe one of the reasons why I feel this way is because I can't afford coaching skills, and perhaps, I don't know, you could argue that I am just bitter because I am poor. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't try coaching services. It's really not about the services themselves. It's more about the way that ADHD people have become a market, a demographic to market to. And when it's about something like a disability that you cannot opt out of, it makes me feel gross. And that, I think, is the crux of the issue. Yo, I just need to suck it up and buy a new battery because I've had to stop filming 3 times to charge this battery. It is on its last legs. Did I in fact spend money on a microphone that I probably didn't need in lieu of buying a new battery? Yes, I did, but there's something so satisfying about holding this little guy when I am speaking. Also, if you see any chicken nugget crumbs on my outfit, no you didn't, and don't be a snitch. I might have had a snack or two while I was waiting for my camera battery to charge. Anyways, this brings us to the end of the video. I appreciate you guys being here to listen to this and for letting me take an opportunity to be a little bit more spicy with my opinion from time to time. I am actually a very opinionated person. I'm just not sure if that comes across on YouTube because the internet is a scary place to have an opinion, and especially one that you worry is unpopular. But recording this did feel rather cathartic, especially because I'm not in therapy right now. And I don't want to go through the process of having to make friends with the new therapist. So having the chance to just kind of vent out my frustration about these things is very helpful. And I also am glad that you are here to raise awareness about these scams. Again, the apps, the coaches, not scams, or not necessarily scams, but ADHDers League especially. Watch out for things like that. Watch Antonia's video because she calls out some other things. And yeah, everything that I've mentioned will be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and leave me a comment. Let me know if you've ever come across these scams before and how you look out for them, because we gotta be on our game out here, guys. Protect your money, spend it wisely. And don't forget to stick around for the new segment on my channel called Dear KDHD, which is an advice column style series where you can write in your questions. There's a Google form in the description below if you have a question that you need to ask, if you're looking for advice, you need to share a story, whatever it may be. I honestly can't wait to record the next Dear KDHD episode, so I hope to see some new questions in there. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. Goodbye, bye, 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 bye. Mwah. Bye. Okay, hopefully the train has passed enough that you can't hear the windows rattling and the horn honking, because it started literally the second I sat down to film, and I'm a little bit peeved about it. And by peeved, I mean filled with rage. I simply can't do this while the train is going by because it makes me so deeply furious. I can feel my heart rate increasing. I can still hear the windows rattling, oh my god.